President Biden's new senior climate advisor is John Podesta, and he once referred to a top Chinese Communist Party official as his friend. This seen in an email from 2015 reviewed by Fox News Digital. Podesta also took several calls from the vice chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference between 2015 and 2016, while serving as the chairman for Hillary Clinton's failed presidential campaign. Joining me right now is senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute and author of The Great U.S.-China Tech War and the Coming Collapse of China. Gordon Chang is here. Gordon, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Maria.
So now John Podesta is the new climate czar. The only thing I wanted to also mention is that his brother was a lobbyist for Huawei. Isn't that true? I mean, his brother is trying to push through China's Communist Party pretty aggressively by trying to get countries everywhere to use Huawei technology, which reportedly, and from the Trump administration, we were told, was one of the main sources of all the surveillance going on from the CCP in America.
Yeah, this really is wrong. And I'm sure the Podestas are going to say, that was then, this is now. But we've got to remember that the United States is under unrelenting and malicious attack by China. We think we're at peace, so it's business as usual. But the Chinese believe that they are at war with the United States. So anyone with these China-friendly views who have represented Chinese companies, especially one as dangerous as Huawei, it just should not be an official. This is not complicated, or at least it shouldn't be considered complicated. They just shouldn't be serving.
Well, it shouldn't be considered complicated to understand that when the son of a sitting vice president, is accepting tens of millions of dollars from Chinese officials, which is what we were told from the Senate report on this, Ron Johnson and Charles Grassley's report, as well as Peter Schweitzer, who has reported extensively on it, not to mention Miranda Devine from the New York Post. It shouldn't be something that's totally, not agreed upon by most people, that influence peddling is bad, and yet here we have it, and much of the media is not even reporting it. Has this dictated the way Joe Biden handles our number one adversary, China?
Yeah, and another aspect to this is that the FBI and the Justice Department seem not to be very curious about Hunter Biden. When you look at Miranda Devine's reporting, it's clear what's going on here, and yet the Justice Department can't find a crime anywhere. This really is wrong, and it shows selective prosecution on the part of the Biden administration to protect Hunter. This really, again, is something that the American people should just be outraged at. Yeah, they should be upset at Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, but also at Merrick Garland, the Attorney General.
Yeah, especially as the FBI's head, Christopher Wray, has told us umpteen times how dangerous the CCP is. And, you're left with, okay, what are you doing about it? You keep telling us the same thing. What have you done about it? Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to meet face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow. That's happening at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Ahead of that meeting, Beijing's top diplomat told a Russian ambassador that China is willing to work with Moscow to take the global order in a, quote, more just and reasonable direction, Gordon. I guess that means the global order means China's number one and Russia's number two.
Yes, well, clearly China and Russia now form the new axis, along with friends like Iran and North Korea, as we heard from Chris Stewart just a few moments earlier in your show. And we have got to understand that the world is divided. A lot of Americans say, well, we don't want a new Cold War. Well, the point is the Russians and the Chinese do, and they're working very closely. And this is going to be the 39th time that Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin have met in person. Number 39.
Wow. Well, what about all the times that Xi Jinping has spoken to Joe Biden? I think it's at least 5 times that they've spoken on the phone, and we don't have any evidence that Joe Biden raised the issue of the origins of COVID-19 and why the Chinese Communist Party will not allow a real investigation to take place so that we can actually get to the bottom of what happened in that Wuhan lab so it doesn't happen again. And what about all of the years of hundreds of billions of dollars lost to the CCP from the theft of intellectual property? Not to mention other issues like surveillance of Americans. These things never come up, coincidentally, when Joe Biden speaks to Xi Jinping.
Well, Biden has this view that he needs China's cooperation on things like climate change. And so he is not willing to raise the issue of COVID-19. And this is very clear because the White House readouts and the White House have admitted that Biden hasn't raised these issues at critical times. And we're talking at what, 1 million, almost 1,050,000 Americans have been killed by this disease. And,
That's right.
and, you know, Biden seems to be, oh, no big deal. I'm not going to even talk about it.
Right. So I'm wondering if it's because of the tens of millions of dollars his family has taken in from the Chinese Communist Party. What do you make of the recent moves? The Biden administration claims it's going to place new restrictions on U.S. shipments of semiconductor chips and chip-making equipment to China next month. Reuters reported that U.S. companies looking to export equipment to China will now need a Commerce Department license. Gordon, your thoughts on what has been done in that regard?
Well, this move is obviously a good thing, but the American people should be asking one question. Look, the Biden administration has now been in place for almost 20 months. Why wasn't this done earlier? You know, we had a slew of executive orders from President Biden on his very first day in office. You know, it's not like he wasn't thinking about what needs to be done. So, yes, this is good. Pat on the back to the administration, but why didn't you do something which was critical to our security much earlier in your administration?
Right. Well, they were too busy doing executive orders overturning Trump policies at the border, like getting rid of Remain in Mexico, etc. Now that we're seeing the wide open border bring terrorist watch individuals into the country, I believe it was 66 people were apprehended at the border who were on the FBI terrorist watch list. Gordon, thanks very much for being here. You are a treasure. Good to see you. Gordon Chang joining us this morning. Thank you, sir.